Thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everybody. There has never been in a more exciting time to be in Lancaster Parks right now. It is just this is feels like the pinnacle of whatever a park's supposed to feel like. It feels like we're in the midst of it right now. So for you that might not know, we started the 100 Trees Please back in the second week of January of 2021. And our goal at that time was to sell 100 trees to replant in Rising Park before the end of 2021. As we started that project, we went, I think in about 3 weeks, we had sold 100 trees, which blew us away. So we didn't stop at 100. We said, we're going to let this thing go and ride it out and see where we go. We soon crossed the 125 mark. We soon crossed 150 mark. We crossed 175 mark. And then earlier this week, we hit 200 and we stopped. So once we had backed up to that 100 mark, it's like, what do you do with 100 trees in Rising Park? How do you make that meaningful and not just go out and plant 100 trees and say we're done? So the thought at that point turned to the first official city-owned arboretum. The Lancaster High School has had an arboretum kind of in just for several years, since the 80s, I think, but it's never really been something that has been marketed and just kind of on the forefront, in a park type setting. So we decided to create the Orchard Hill Arboretum with these 200 trees. A neat project. Pretty soon we had a donor that jumped on board with a large amount of money. And then we had a second with even a larger amount of money that jumped on board with this project. So we've sold trees all over the United States. A lot of snowbirds in Florida. We're calling in Wisconsin, West Virginia, Pennsylvania. It's just been crazy where all of these phone calls have come from. The connection that people have to Rising Park in this community, Mount Pleasant. You just didn't realize it until this project went out and started to gain traction. So the Orchard Hill Arboretum, as that starts to take on a new shape and a form, and we've ordered the trees for that. There's things you can do inside an arboretum that are not just, you just don't want to go look at trees. So we've got Columbus Academy of, I think it's Art and Design, CCAD. We've got some of their students and some of their staff on board to help us with signage and games that we can actually, like a Where's Waldo kind of game, and some stuff that really makes the inside of this arboretum interesting and fun to be in, instead of just reading the same thing about every tree you walk up to. So this is going to be a project to come to fruition that will take, I don't know, quite a while, maybe a year to get this thing completed, as far as all of the signage and everything in place. But to have all the trees planted, that's going to happen this spring. It'll be, all the trees will be in place, and the plaques in front of the trees and the species of the tree will be in place probably by the end of April, beginning of May. So we're on the fast track to get the trees in the ground. We started planting earlier this week already. That was kind of exciting. So the whole project, as it started to unfold, then the realization that the benches from Fairfield DD and then the community action and the bottle cap program kind of came into play, and how we could utilize those benches in the Arboretum. And then we turned this whole thing into the Seeds of Change, which is the event that's going to happen on April 24th in Rising Park. We're going to close down one of the parking lots, and this is Earth Day on April 24th. And we're also going to take our Arbor Day, which is 6 days later on April 30th, and move it back to April 24th. We're going to celebrate Earth Day, Arbor Day, and the official ribbon cutting with a lot of media attention to all three of these kind of events in one on that one given day. The event's going to happen from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to do the ribbon cutting and the proclamations from a county commissioner, from the mayor. I think Rachel's going to do a little something with the presentation of the benches to the county parks and the city parks. We've got the after school program that actually bought the number 200 tree. They're going to raise money earlier that day on the bike trail over around Olivedale to help pay for and support their tree that they're going to donate to the parks. We've got Girl Scouts going to be there. We've got Boy Scouts that have bought trees. They're going to be there. The Girl Scouts bought trees also. It's just, if you've ever been involved in the perfect storm, if you want to call this a storm, this is it. The Orchard Hill planning and the Arboretum, it's amazing how it came together. And then on the backs of it, here comes this event that will be so special, and hopefully years to come, that this Earth Day, Arbor Day combination with all of these entities will continue to, seeds of change. What a neat tagline that came to be, because it's recycling, it's picking up trash, it's replanting our earth to make this place that we live in better. And I just, it gives me goosebumps to think about how well this has worked out to this point. And, you're waiting for that other shoe to drop for something to happen that's not as good as all of this has gone. But no matter what it is, it's going to be small compared to the big picture of what we're trying to accomplish. What do you think, Rachel?
I think that you said it all beautifully. I also wanted to just let everybody know the people that are going to have booths. We have a whole list of people lined up for that day. Of course, Lancaster Parks, Alley Park, Community Action Recycling, Soil and Water, DD, County Parks, NWTF, United Way, Head Start, Fairfield County District Library. We're working on AEP. I'm hoping that they're going to come. Kiwanis and the Key Club, OSU Extension, Republic Services, and I was going to ask Mike too. ODNR is on the list. Are they confirmed? I wasn't sure if they were coming.
I need to call them back. They called yesterday, but yesterday was a board meeting day, so I didn't have time to return their phone call. But we're hoping that they jump on board in a couple different areas. Yes.
Okay. So that day, Mike said we're gonna do the proclamation from the county commissioners and the ribbon cutting. But I wanted to speak about the benches a little bit. So for those of you that don't know, that bottle cap to benches project, we saved enough caps to get 10 benches. So 5 of those are going to go to city parks and 5 of those are going to go to county parks. So I think maybe 3 might be in the Arboretum. And then 2 will be on the Sensory Trail, which is technically a county park behind Forest Road School. And those will be in memory of Wendy Ricker and of Paula Gay. So we've been working on those. Man, I don't know when we started this project, but it's been a while. And finally, that's finishing out, and those will be presented that day. So if you know someone that sponsored, or if you sponsored a bench yourself, if you come that day, you'll be able to see those, know where those are going to go. So that'll wrap all of those things together. And like Mike said, it's the perfect storm. Like, we wanted to have the Earth Day, the Arbor Day, 100 Trees Please just happened at the exact right time. Having the whole event at Rising Park is perfect, and we're looking forward to doing it every year from here on out. Does anybody have any questions?
There's a question in the chat.
Okay, here we go. Jeff, what area of Rising Park is the Arboretum going to be?
So the Orchard Hill area is probably the best kept secret in Rising Park. So it would be everything that is up the hill. The shelter house, the Orchard Hill shelter house, is the one on top of the hill up that comes in off of the 37 entrance up on the corner. The top of the hill of 37. So it's that entire area, the entire hill behind the playground, the Lancaster shelter, behind the old maintenance shop, that area of the park, which I guess would be kind of the, I don't know, northwest corner.
That there used to be a driveway that went through that park or that area.
Yeah, there's an old road bed that's on the top of that hill, and we're actually going to use that road bed as the trail, that kind of the main body of the trail that will go from the shelter house area to down by the old maintenance shop. So we're going to have 2 entrances into this Arboretum. And both entrances will be kind of a mirror image of each other. We'll have the signage. And if you've ever, I'm sure you've seen the traditional park signs, the great big green signs. This one is beautifully done with a great big tree setting, like the shirt that Rachel's got on right now. It's got those trees on it, and it says Orchard Hill Arboretum. Very well done. That will be on one side. We're going to have 2 great big hornbeam type oak trees 4 inches in caliper, which means at your shoulder height, they'll be about 4 inches in diameter. So these are great big mature trees in the entrances that we're going to plant. So it makes this statement that you're going into something. It's just not, a hillside or just not a path. It's actually very purposeful in what we're doing and how we're going to design this. There'll be kiosks in place. The other thing, one of the grants that came through for this, or some of the education money that we got for this, was at some point in the beginning of this, we're going to plant 1 row of trees that we consider to be city street trees. So if somebody's looking for a tree to plant in between the street and the sidewalk in front of their home, then we will have a group of trees up there that somebody can go up and look at and say, hey, this is the style tree or the type of tree I'd like to see in front of my house. And that will help facilitate that process, so you don't have to just guess what would be there. So a lot of little, intricacies to what is going to happen on that hill. So yeah.
Let's see, I'm looking through the chat. Does anybody else have anything they want to ask?
Jeff was curious about how accessible it will be.
Oh. Pam, you're right on top of that.
I got you, girl.
So in the initial start of this, it's not going to be what we would consider to be all accessible, just because it's, it's a dirt grass path going out this hillside. But the intent inside the next year is to make this it's a rubber type surface that is very permeable, so water goes through it and it flexes and moves. It's about 2 inches thick. It'll be about 8 feet wide, and we want to have that path go clear through the Arboretum so that somebody with an accessibility issue would be able to walk this with no problem. So the grade, I'm not sure we would ever correct, because the grade is what the grade is. But as far as a path that a wheelchair, walkers, or anybody that had issues like that, we want to make this so that everybody can get into this Arboretum and sit and enjoy these trees. So yes, it is our intent to get to that point.
But Michael, there is parking up by that shelter house, right at the top, or the pavilion that's up there.
You're exactly right. There is a parking lot there, and also we will be expanding that parking lot a little bit, making it better looking, because right now it's not one we're really proud of because it's very underutilized. The shelter house that's up there, the thought right now is to rehab that shelter house a bit and make it more of an education center type shelter house. Yes, it can still be used as a shelter house, but we want some stuff around that shelter house to just give some education to trees and life cycle of trees and all that stuff that would go with an arboretum. So we're very much in the infancy of this whole project, but we're not going to limit ourselves in any way, shape, or form of what it could be down the road.
So Jeff, I was just thinking, like, there's 2 ways you can get to that area. You can park down below by the park and walk up through it's a hill, it's a hike hill. Or you could park up above. I don't think there's any steps to get down to where the area is. It's just that degrade, or is that degrade? Low grade? No, that's not right. Subgrade.
So the one thing we're going to do is, if you were walking the loop at Rising Park, in the back of Rising Park up by the old maintenance shop, that it turns into a single path and goes down the hill and loops back around and behind the old Rising Shelter. So on that, just past the maintenance building to the left, is where we're going to bring in the other entrance to the Arboretum. It's only about 80 yards. It's a little less of an incline. It's definitely a lot less as far as length, as opposed to coming up from the playground area. And that will be the second entrance. So the primary entrance being the Orchard Hill, the secondary entrance being off of the bike path or the walking path down by the old maintenance shop. We're gonna make this. We're going to pour that portion, that 80 yards coming up that grade. That will be done probably this spring with this material we're going to use. So that one's going to happen quick. But to connect from the top of the hill there by the maintenance shop clear over to the shelter house area, that one's going to take us a while because that's several hundred yards long there. But yeah, we're going to try and make this as accessible as we can as far as the grades and the inclines as soon as possible. So we're not dealing with muddy messes or cattle paths or anything like that. What's next? Whip it on me.
Corey asked, can it be noticeable like signs? Are you gonna have little signs down at the front entrance to remind, to show people how to get up through there?
That's a thought. I guess so. We haven't brought it that far yet. So right now, the great big signs that would be there by the maintenance shop and up on Orchard Hill, we've got those actually on order, and they'll be in the ground by April 24th. So we actually have something to visit, do the ribbon cutting with. We haven't thought about the lower section yet. I guess at least I haven't. So yeah, we probably need to do some signage down front around the playground or the parking lot area that describes it, the Arboretum, how to get to it and where it's located at. So great thought. I hadn't thought of it yet, but yeah, we'll do that definitely.
Andrea asked, how many people do work for the city parks? And she said, you guys do such a good job. And she's just wondering how many staff members you have.
So if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said 17, but now we're up to 18 because we just brought on health and fitness coordinator, Maria, out at the Health and Fitness Center at Olivedale. So now we're up to 18. We manage 32 properties, 27 are parks, and it is right almost 1,000 acres is what the city parks have on the books right now. So it's massive. Alley Park being the majority of that acreage. Rising Park, 72 acres, a big park in and of itself. And then Keller Kern right up over the hill, another massive park with a lot of acreage. But yeah, we're proud of what we do with the crew that we have. And yeah, I just couldn't be, if I was going to take on the world, this would be the crew I'd want to do it with.
I think that's about all that's in there.
I got something else I want to throw out if I can.
Yep, go.
So we've had a project on the books for the last 1.5 to 2 years. I've always wanted to create a dog park that was city owned, parks owned, and we've been collecting money. We had $10,400 towards that project. We knew it was a $20,000 project. All of a sudden, we knew metal prices were going to go up in the next 3 to 4 weeks, a crazy amount, like 30% in the next 2 to 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they're going to jump. So we went ahead and took the $10,400 and said, hey, we're going to buy the fencing for this dog park now. And then all of a sudden, friends of the Lancaster Parks, and we had some other donors jump on board and say, hey, we want to bring this project home. So in the next 2 weeks, the fences will go up for the first city-owned dog park down at Miller Park over by Miller Swimming Pool. Fairfield County Area Humane Society is going to jump on board with us and help us with all the things we don't know about dog parks. It's downtown. It's going to be one of the neatest projects that we've done. I mean, the Orchard Hill project is, it's the bomb. To have a dog park is just another one that's it's exciting. This is fun. Like I said, if this is the best time in the world to be part of the parks, in my view, because we are doing good things for a lot of people.
Very cool. I had no idea about that. I had heard though that they were going to move parts of Miller Park somewhere else, like the ball diamonds.
So the ball diamonds at Miller Park, when we acquired the land out on West Fair, Bowers Park is what it's named now. It was the Bowers property. That 20 acres used to be a farm field. That's going to be 4 brand new baseball/softball diamonds. It's going to be a true, I don't know, it looked more like what you would see now as a traditional ballpark. Exciting project. So as the city moves forward, what happens at Miller Park and the flooding issues we have and the water table down there, it's not been one of our most usable facilities to play baseball, softball, and even football. So the property, the Bowers property, as we develop that property, and as we look at some of the issues and some of the building that's going to come down the road for the water department and their expansion, it was just seemed to be the right time to create 4 new fields for this community. It's going to be a super neat park because it's not in floodplain, flood zone, floodway, which is truly what we get most of the time because it's property people can't develop, so they give it to the parks, and then we get stuck with something that is water all the time. But the Bowers property is not like that. That project starts this year. It would have started last year, but COVID held that up. But the grading and the work out on the Bowers property starts this year, and it is our hope by 2023 that the city will have 4 brand new baseball, softball diamonds to utilize out at Bowers Park, and it'll be beautiful.
That's all really good stuff. That's a lot more than I thought we were going to talk about today. So that's good. We got a lot covered.
I could go on for hours.
Does anybody else have any other questions for Mike about anything parks related?
I seen a question come up, where's Bowers Park? So if you took West Fair out past to the city limits, right, West Fair actually turns into Wilson Road before it goes up and over the bypass. So between the end of Fair Avenue and the bypass, there's a spot in there on the right-hand side. There used to be an old barn that stood there, and that 20 acres is now property of Lancaster Parks. Also, the city is getting ready to annex that 20 acres and actually pull that into the city. So Fair Avenue will extend clear to the bypass.
There's another question I thought might come up. Love the accessible park on 22, but oh my, the parking lot. I know you're working on it.
So here's the other exciting part. That's why this is fun to be parks. So we realized a couple of weeks ago when the weather started to turn that parking lot was not going to be big enough for all the people that were trying to utilize that park. So before we went ahead and paved just a portion of it, it's like, let's make this parking lot bigger. So Kiwanis, a major donor to this park, I think they're into almost like $500,000 at this point, had $42,000 set aside for the parking lot and the driveway. The city parks, us, we're going to put another $20,000 with it, and we're going to make that parking lot another 75 feet bigger with a sidewalk so people don't have to walk through the parking lot to get back over to the playground. And that at that point, we'll open up the restrooms and have that place all just everything it needs or we want it to be. One thing I will throw out, there's been a lot of vandalism in that playground here as of late. Somebody stole one of the swings this week. Somebody actually broke one of the slides. They've been stealing some of the musical instruments. So anybody that's using that park, if you can just kind of keep an eye out for us and help us watch that park. It's disheartening, but we'll get it repaired and get it back up on its feet, and we'll continue to move forward because it serves the greater good.
It's been very busy since the weather got a little warmer on and off. There's been people there constantly. So I'm sure everything going into that's going to be worth the while in the end for sure.
Yes, very much so.
Okay. All right. I think that's everything in the chat. Anybody else? One last time? Nothing? Okay. Well, Mike, we really appreciate you being here today. I'm really looking forward to the Earth Day, Arbor Day celebration.